welcome to this episode of Conversation with a Chef. I'm Jo Ritty and I love sharing with you the conversations I get to have with talented and passionate chefs. It's the backstory, if you will, to the food they're putting up. I begin today by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation and the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, traditional custodians of the lands and airwaves where this conversation took place. Land which was never ceded, land where communities came together to eat seasonally, locally and without exhausting resources. I pay my respects to their elders past and present and to any First Nations people listening today. Lyndey Milan is a vibrant force in Australian food, known for her warm personality and deep love of good food and wine. With decades of experience as a TV presenter, cookbook author and food educator, she's passionate about making cooking accessible and enjoyable. She was the food director at Australian Women's Weekly, has hosted numerous TV shows and also created Tasting Success, a mentoring program for women chefs. Whether she's sharing recipes, hosting culinary tours or championing Australian produce, her enthusiasm is infectious. Who better then to host an exclusive food and wine adventure at this year's Melbourne Food and Wine Festival? The 6-day journey, in collaboration with Intrepid, is billed as a culinary adventure and takes you through Melbourne and regional Victoria's best food and wine experiences. From the unmissable world's longest lunch to a rare spirits and international cheese tasting in Melbourne and a 3-hour degustation aboard the Q train, this really will be an amazing 6 days. I was delighted at the opportunity to speak to Lyndey and to hear about the tour, but to also hear about her career and how she got to where she is today. If you would like to be part of the Culinary Adventure, bookings close on the 14th of February. Wouldn't that be an amazing Valentine's gift? And you can head to the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival website, www.melbournefoodandwine.com.au, for more information.
Lyndey Milan.
Hi Lyndey, it's Jo Ritty here. How are you?
Thank you for this. That's great.
Oh no, thank you. Thanks for your time. So it's a treat for me to be able to speak to you. I've just been looking over what the lucky participants of your Melbourne Food and Wine Festival tour get to do. So let's start with that because that's coming up soon, and what an amazing experience that people will have. So maybe tell me about how did this come about? What does the tour involve? Yeah.
Sure. Okay, well, Jo, thank you for having me. Look, I've been kicking around the food business in Australia for over 40 years, which is remarkable considering I'm 21. However, the story behind the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival is a fantastic one. When Melbourne was bidding for the 1996 Olympics, they came up with this fantastic cultural program to go with it, which they thought when they didn't win the Olympics, well, this is too good to let go. So that is how the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival was born. So I came to the first one, which also involved masterclasses at a hotel, back in the 90s. And it's been incredible since then. So since then I've presented at it, I've emceed rooms at it and whatever. But I just think it's absolutely wonderful the way it has evolved over all of those years. And it's so vibrant, and I think it very proudly takes its place on the world stage.
Yes.
So what happened was that Pat Nurse, who is the creative director of the festival, rang me because I've known him for a very long time. He was deputy editor of Gourmet Traveller when I was food director of the Australian Women's Weekly. And he said, look, what about doing one of your tours to the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival? So I've been doing overseas tours since 2015. And I said to him, well, yeah, it's a good idea, but what about lead times? And he said, oh, well, the Minister will be announcing the program on the 25th of November. And I said, yeah, what about lead time? Anyway, however, that's what's happened. And so I've partnered with Intrepid. I got an introduction to them from someone I respect. And so we got together very quickly in late November and put together this program. So the idea with going on a tour is that everything's organised for you. And much as it's what you do, it's also knowing that if things go wrong, you're entirely cared for.
Yes.
And I think that's really important. I've just come back from India and, that was one of my considerations. So hopefully nothing will go wrong at all. But if it does, we've got the infrastructure. So what I did was we worked with Intrepid and the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival and had a look at some of the events. Now, the world's longest lunch is, rightly world famous. I mean, I've been to it in years gone by. And this year it's curated by Curtis Stone, who I've known for a very long time as well. Now, it is sort of the opening day. So we thought, well, we've got to include tickets to that because it is extraordinary, sitting at 600 metres of table, winding through King's Domain.
Yes.
They're very sought after tickets, and it's just a lovely, lovely, relaxed thing. So we are getting people to start the day before. We're going to do an Intrepid special tour, Melbourne Bites, Sights and Skydeck, just to make sure with planes these days and everything else that everybody's there.
Yes.
And we do this as a lovely casual sort of 5 p.m. thing. And so then free morning and then world's longest lunch. And then people can kick on or relax. But then we're going to go to Rare Spirits and the World's Best Cheese. So it's really interesting because they're flying in world-class cheeses, especially for the event.
Wow.
And then we're going to be guided through a sensory journey of the flavours and with the spirits. So that's amazing. The other thing, too, is in Melbourne, we're going to stay at Melbourne Place, which is newly opened hotel, but it's also the official partner of the festival. So whenever you go to these things, you never know who you'll run into in the foyer or at breakfast or whatever. So that's really a bit of fun as well.
And do you know, Lyndey, I've actually been to Melbourne Place twice now, but up to the rooftop bar mid-air, which is so beautiful. And the last time I was there, speaking of running into people, I shared the lift with a gentleman who introduced himself to me as the Lord Mayor of Melbourne. So,
and that's part of it too. It's such fun to hang out and you never know who you'll see. And then I'm really keen on the Saturday where once again a free morning. You've got to let people have time to themselves. They can discover more of Melbourne, or they can, but we will have done the laneways on that first evening. But from 1 till 3 there's a show called Hungry Eyes. And this is about food photography. So I find that people ask me, I only had an email this week from someone saying, look, your food photography looks so good, how do I do it, blah, blah, blah. Now, my food photography isn't I've employed stylists and photographers over the years, but of course I have picked up a bit. But we're just going to go and Melbourne's most notable food photographers are showing their work. And then we're going to get to taste some of what you see in the photos. How cool is that?
Wow, that's amazing. That's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think that's great. And that's the whole thing with the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival. It's so diverse in what it offers. Okay, we then a bit of time to relax, but then we have to go to the Suckling Pig Feast with Adrian Richardson.
What a character. That'll be so much fun.
I know him as well, so, I'm hoping that my people will, be able to meet these people especially as well.
Yes.
And a Suckling Pig Feast,
wow.
And matching wines. So that's great.
Delicious.
So then the next morning we are going to set off towards the Macedon Ranges and we're going to go to the winemakers' lunch there. And that's 5 courses of the region's seasonal produce. The Cleveland Estates executive chef is doing it, and of course it's going to be matched with regional wines.
How beautiful.
That's only on our way to the Bellarine Peninsula.
Oh.
Yeah, so we're going to stay in Geelong, and the evening is going to be a leisure. We're staying actually a Holiday Inn and Suites right in Geelong, so people can get out and walk to a cafe or a bar or a restaurant. The pier's only 20 minutes walk away, but they're going to have a free evening because you're going to have had a long lunch.
Yes.
The next morning we're going on the Q train and Mern Express. So this is amazing. So stunning views, but with a 3-hour degustation as we go in the train between Drysdale to Queenscliff. And I just think that's going to be gorgeous. Once again, it's going to be, local ingredients and local wines. But I've always had a hankering to go on the Orient Express, and I never have. And I just think, I did go on a gorgeous train in Vietnam recently, but I just think that's a really fun way to see the scenery as well as try the food and wine.
Absolutely.
So something a bit different. And then the next day, which is our last day, we're going to go to the Bellarine Smokehouse and find out all about how they do their award-winning smoked goods. You know, how it's done. We'll taste it. We'll be guided by a chef. And then we're going to return to Melbourne in the afternoon, or people could go to Avalon Airport or Melbourne CBD, whatever they like. So it's, so 6 days but 5 nights.
How incredible. And it's a nice small number of people as well, isn't it? So they're really getting that full experience.
Yeah, look, we're having a minimum of 8 and a maximum of 12. I mean, look, beyond that, you know, we can always see if there's more accommodation and tickets and stuff available. But Melbourne Food and Wine Festival have reserved all of our places for this. But we really need to know if people are interested by the 14th of February, because we have to confirm.
Yes.
We have to confirm the hotel accommodation more than anything. We can probably hang on to a few tickets for Melbourne Food and Wine, but, you know, we've just got to confirm the whole package. So that's why. And it was always going to be a short lead time. And, of course, you know, a lot of people aren't around over Christmas, but I think schools are back, so everyone's back now.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I just think it would be amazing. So do you think you're going to mainly get out of towners, so people not from Melbourne, or do you think there'll be some Melbourne people in there as well?
I would expect that it's people out of Melbourne. It might be regional Victoria, but I think especially I've got some people. I've got 2 Canadians booked.
Okay,
which is pretty fabulous.
It's great.
And then I've got a friend, and then I've got someone who's travelled with me, came on a cruise with me, you know, back in about 2015 or something. So it's going to be a really mixed bag. But I usually find with my tours that because everybody is really interested in food and wine, that it goes really well. So I usually have a combination of couples, singles, maybe friends travelling together. I always travel on my own because I want to devote myself to my people 24/7. And the other thing is that there's an Intrepid tour manager who comes with us. So that person has to do all the nitty gritty, you know, have your bags out, do this, count the bags onto the bus, you know, whatever. And I just look after the people and make sure everyone has a good time.
It just sounds perfect to me. I love that. I'd like your job.
It takes a bit of putting together, but you know, I guess this job, for example, is based on 40 years of experience, because I know so much about food and wine, so I'm able to sort of interpret things for people and
absolutely,
and find simple ways of doing things. And then, you know, I always follow up if they say, oh, look, you know, for example, if at that photography exhibition, and they say, geez, I'd love to know how to make that. Well, you know, I'll follow up and I'll speak to the person, find out the chef. You know, I'll find that out. And if not, I'll figure out a recipe myself to share with people. So when you come on a tour with me, it's not just the time of the tour, it's the ongoing relationship.
Absolutely. And look, I think, knowing that you've been awarded the Medal of the Order of Australia for your services to hospitality, and particularly to the food and wine industry and to the community, that really speaks to your experience and the time you've put into this and the relationships that you've cultivated. So really they're getting the best person for this, for the tour. I'm really interested, how did you get into this in the first place? So, you know, 4 decades ago, what were you doing?
Okay, well, let me tell you, I started cooking when I was 16, but I grew up to love the hospitality of the table. Mum was a good home cook, but back when I was growing up, you know, people didn't go out to restaurants as much, and if Mum and Dad had guests, we kids would sit around the table. I was the youngest of 4. And it was only... I was a high school art teacher, then I went to London. I was an advertising executive in London and Sydney. And it was only after the birth of my first child in 1981 that a year or so later I started a catering business. And what I've done really is I found a roundabout way of being a performer, because I wanted to go to NIDA, but I had to go and get a proper degree. So I was catering for 12 years, had a cafe as well. And then I started doing some work in the media. So late 80s, started in radio, a little bit of television writing. And then what I was able to do was just work really hard and increase the media work as I decreased the catering. But it's really good to have had that catering background. I've been reviewing for the Good Food Guide in Sydney since 1987.
Wow.
And like all the chefs, they know I can go in the kitchen and do it. You know, they know that I appreciate, you know, the difficulties. I mean, I can feed 1,000 people, I mean, with staff, obviously, but I can organise it, I can do it. And then, you know, as you get older, you know, you want to reinvent yourself. I mean, I left the Women's Weekly, not because I had to, or I just thought it's time for me to reinvent myself. So in 2015, I hosted a cruise where we had 3 days in Rome and then 10 days in the Mediterranean and then 4 days in Tuscany. So I did 2015, 16 and 17 just in different parts of the Mediterranean. And then in 2018, I hosted my first tour to Puglia, which is in the boot of the heel of Italy. And I'm about to do my 4th one there in May this year. And I did Japan in 2019. And then, of course, COVID intervened. And so since COVID, I've done 2 more tours of Puglia and I've done 2 of Morocco. And I'm going back to Morocco with people in late April this year. So it's just a thing of reinventing yourself and becoming relevant. You know, you can't get bitter and twisted that new people are coming up. Isn't it fantastic for them? I was a new person once. So I just have to harness my 40 years of experience and what that's given me and turn it into something else. And I love it. I'm a people person, so I absolutely love it. And I'm actually planning to do Greece, to retrace the steps of my TV series, Lyndey and Blair's Taste of Greece, in 2026.
Oh, wow. You've got a lot. There's a lot going on.
Oh, look, there is. But I've got the energy. And see, I just love it.
Yeah.
I just think food and wine are so amazing. And, you know, food is something that 100% of people have in common.
Yes.
We all have to eat, you know, and as I said, it's the hospitality of the table. It's the joy that can come across the table. It's the conversations. It's the relationships. And to showcase Australia and some of regional Australia, how fantastic.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm thrilled I've got 2 Canadians coming.
I think that's great.
I'll make them Austrophiles. Don't you worry about that.
Oh, well, I think they'll be really won over because of all those experiences for sure.
Yeah.
I just, on another note too, because I speak to so many chefs, people often say to me, you know, where are the women chefs? And I really like that you are a co-founder of Tasting Success, which is the mentoring program for female chefs.
Yes.
Are things changing for women in the kitchen, or is that still quite a hard thing for the hard situation?
It is still hard. So we started that in 2006.
Yeah.
And to start off with, you know, I mean, I had a few female mentors, you know, Kylie Kwong and Chris Manfield, but there weren't enough women out there, and so we've had some terrific male chefs too, and we still do. Matt Moran, Neil Perry, Peter Gilmore, Tetsuya Wakuda. We continue on because the thing is that biologically, women have children, so might have a break in their career, but also in terms of the kitchen, strength. You know, we try to give them a bit of resilience training, and we give them extra masterclasses. They have 35 hours face-to-face with a leading chef because we want to show them what's possible. We want to expose them to Australia's best produce, and we want them to meet new people and then to be able to network, because chefs are usually really supportive of each other, and it's just a lovely thing to do. So you know, we do all of that, but it's interesting because the culture in kitchens is finally changing, where, you know, bullying is not okay. So I think that's great, but we just want to give them the extra tools to help them get ahead. But it's still hard. It is still, what I'm thrilled with was that one of my mentees is executive chef of a hotel in Brisbane now. Isn't that amazing? But also, T. Lay, who's set up Anchovy.
Yes.
Well, she's one of my girls.
Oh, I love her.
She's not only won Chef of the Year, she's won Restaurateur of the Year.
Yes.
I paired her with Chris Manfield. Now, they are still in touch.
That's wonderful.
The other thing, that you've then got a network of mentors who can remain your mentors. And, I think it's a really important thing to do.
It's fantastic, and just, that's right, having those connections. And as you say, I always like to think that there is a community of chefs out there supporting one another, but sometimes you've got to push those connections and foster them as well. So it's a great program.
Look, it's very rewarding. The best thing is at the end, when we sort of have their graduation, the number of them who say to me, "This has changed my life."
Fantastic.
It's extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. Especially, and they don't have to be apprentices. We have mature age as well. We have a lot of people who are career changing. And the older ones really, really, really get benefit out of it. But even with the young ones, when they're apprentices, they could be working somewhere quite, not ordinary, but you know what I mean. And then you go and put them with one of these chefs, and it opens their eyes to what's possible in the industry. Yeah,
and I think that's really important, isn't it? Just having that exposure and, someone to sound things off on and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's wonderful. And what I say to them, I give them presentation skills and media training, and I say to them, you all know how to contact me now. That's what you've got to do, and that's what you've got to do with everyone you meet through this. We teach them food photography on an iPhone. We do food and wine matching, patisserie, chocolate work, just extra stuff. It's great.
Yeah. Well, that sort of leads into the question I usually ask at the end, which is, with all your years of experience, what would your advice be to a young person starting out, or any person, in fact, starting out as a chef?
Go for it wholeheartedly. Because if you've made the wrong choice, it doesn't matter, because you'll find that out and then you can go and do something else. But you've got to understand it's hard work. Always be the one to put up your hand to do something extra. Be nice to people, be respectful, be polite, and be enthusiastic. And the other thing is, don't take things for granted. Take the opportunities there. But aside from that, read. You don't have to be able to buy expensive cookbooks or anything anymore. You can look online, follow the chefs that you admire. But being a chef is not about being a celebrity chef. That is like 0.0001% of the population, and be yourself and find, what it is that makes you happy.
That's great. Thank you. And look, thanks so much for your time today. All the best for March. And I can't wait to see photos and hear all about it once you're on tour or after the tour. It sounds fantastic.
Well, thank you so much. I'm following you on Instagram now. So
great.
There you go. And I look forward to hearing this.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, lovely.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Conversation with a Chef with Lyndey Milan. You can follow Lyndey on Instagram at Lyndey Milan, that's LYNDEYMILAN, and the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival at Melb Food and Wine, that's all one word, MELB Food and Wine. To secure a place on the tour, hop on the website at www.melbournefoodandwine.com.au and search for Culinary Adventure. If you'd like to hear more stories from other chefs, I'm on Instagram at Conversation with a Chef. You can read the chat and become a subscriber at www.conversationwithachef.com, and of course you can follow me on Apple and Spotify podcasts. I would love it if you told a friend about my chats, because I think that's still the best way to get the stories out there. Once again, thanks so much for listening. Have a great day and bon appétit.